Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So this is starting the vlog series as I prepared Survivor for release. So this is coming up. So I wanted to preface this by saying Survivor obviously is very thick. It is super epic, super action-packed. It is a very, very good story. But all good stories had a starting point. So I just wanted to clarify and give this little disclaimer that in these vlogs, I really struggled with the initial, I had to rewrite the book, do initial edits, and then I sent it to my editor, and so she did round one, I did round one, and then, which my round one was spent rewriting the book a little bit, adding 80,000 words into it, and then I sent it back to her for her round two, my round two. But this initial first edit, I was really dreading it. This was dealing with the first version of Survivor, which I've always compared before my editor gets a hold of my books. It's like a sketch. It's a black and white sketch done with pencil, and there's no shading, no detail, and it's just extremely vague. By the time that she helps me edit the book, both of our rounds, all of our rounds, all the proofreading, by the time it's this, it's like a 3D painting, right? Compared to the sketch it was. So I really heavily struggled. I dreaded it so badly. It wasn't in great condition in terms of like the writing, and it felt like a bigger task than Immortal, and Immortal was the biggest book in the Valiant series, and I thought it would be the biggest ever done. So it's a really good book, but you're about to watch my initial struggle where I was wondering whether this was even going to be in the Valiant series, and the order was going to be different, and I was really dreading it. So you're looking at the final product now, but please keep that in mind. This is still a good book, despite what you're about to watch. So if you're still with me, thank you, and I hope you enjoy. Hey guys, and welcome to another video. So I figured it was high time to kind of explain what's been going on with Survivor. I may not explain all of it because it's 11:21 and my husband and I will be having dinner soon. But yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about what's been going on. So, basically, to start off with, Survivor is Valiant Book 6, and I wrote it a long time ago.
It's been 84 years.
So, the order of the books has been Hunter, Shifter, Samurai, Assassin, and Rogue, with the short stories in between there. So all of those 5 books that we just talked about, I wrote a long time ago, and I wrote the short stories in between them in 2019 or 2018 when I was planning to get ready for being traditionally published in 2019. When the publishers picked me up, we needed more connectors between the books, so I wrote all of the short stories. So the short stories were the newest ones. So Rogue Valiant Book 5 was a book that I wrote in the Valiant series that was a little bit more recent, as opposed to Survivor was one of the earlier books. So even though it's book 6 and chronologically it takes place after Rogue, I wrote it before Rogue, with some of my old writing, and I haven't reread it or edited it since then. So at the time that Immortal is a prequel to the Valiant series and a companion to Mortal, which is another prequel. So at the time that I sent Immortal, I hired H.A. Pruitt to edit it, and she printed it off and edited round 1. She had also edited, I think, Sightless and Bound, which was like the short story companion to Rogue. So she was editing some of those. This might have even been when she edited Rogue round 2, but it was one of those rounds. I had found a couple pieces of paper where it was literally lined paper that I had printed off the first few pages of Survivor onto a long time ago, back when I wanted to physically print out my books. But it was lined paper, and it just didn't end up well. So I took those pieces of paper with me when I went to go pick up some of the other books, and I'd asked her to go through them and kind of give me her opinion, because my big debate was, there's 30 characters in total. Less than that have POVs, so there's some characters that we never go to their perspective, so there's probably about 10 to 12 that have a POV in the book, but it's all written in first person, and I could not decide if it would be best to just rewrite the whole book in third person, because there's so many characters, or leave it first person. So I asked her to just read through them to tell me if she thinks, based on what she's read in the prologue and opening sequence scenes, if I should leave it first person or change it to third person. And based on what she told me, she got those papers back to me again another time we went to pick up another book from her, and she sent those papers back with me along with her feedback. And she said that it first person works because of the nature of the story. There's a lot of lying and deception, and first person would allow us to stay in the character heads and know what one character knows, but another one knows and not know all of the details like a third person narrator would. But she said some of them sounded the same, and there's a lot of grammar errors that I already knew existed because it was my old writing back when I was way younger. And then of course their character voices, some of them sounded the same, and the first challenge wasn't clear, how like the description was very lacking, and then we jump into a challenge right off the bat, so it's like hard to care about the characters. So she suggested going backwards a little bit to show how they got in this situation and kind of lead into that a little bit better. So we talked ideas for that and figured that out. This was June or July, summer of 2023. Around the time we had started talking about round one. She had edited Immortal round one, and so we talked about the book over voice messages in order to talk about all the big picture stuff, the changes that I would need to do when I did round one. And I did. So if that vlog is out by the time you guys are watching this, I'll have it as a card. Please go check it out. It's amazing. But anyways, so with that task in mind, I knew what I had to do. So I edited round one of Immortal and sent it back to her. And I got it back to her, I want to say December, January-ish. And so it hasn't taken her very long at all to get it back, because she just got back to me, and it's March 23rd right now, for round two of Immortal. So because I'd sent it to her, I was like, okay, I don't have any editing to do right now. I actually don't have any editing clients right now either. So this is the time I need to go through Survivor. Okay, so I was dreading it because I knew the amount of work that would go into it, and I really didn't want to. And it's one of my older books, so I was having a hard time getting excited for it. So one day I got excited and just started writing. Well, I read the opening scenes, and I was like, okay, I'm going to edit them first to see, and then kind of go from there before I add any more leading up to it, just so I can kind of get my head back in it. I edited those based on her feedback. Started writing one day, and I wrote, I think it was like about 1,000 words. I wonder if I logged it. So I'm gonna look on my writing logging folder here. See if I logged it at all. Okay, so February 16th, Survivor Day 1. I started logging it because I thought I was going to rewrite more that I would have to actually log, so I wrote 2,622 words. And the whole book at that point was 102,903 words. So that was day one. So I started on February 16th, and today is March 23rd, and I'm still working at it. So after that, I tried to do around a chapter a day. Obviously, it has been a month, longer than a month, so there's only 23 chapters in it. So some chapters were long enough that I only did, I skipped some days. I didn't edit every day. Some days I only did one scene out of a chapter. Some days I had to divide the chapters in half because they were so long. And again, I skipped some days. I didn't consistently edit every day. So it's taken me this long, and I haven't finished it yet. I'm on page 203 out of 233. So I've got about 20 to 30 pages left. But prior to February 16th, when I started editing it again, I had to go through all of the characters. And because I needed to, with them sounding, everything's in first person, which means that they are the ones telling the story. It's not just a third person narrator. If it was a third person narrator, the narrator could sound like the narrator, and then they would only have to sound differently in the dialogue. So I could just get by with just knowing kind of vague ideas of how they sound and how they talk. This is different because they are narrating the story. So every first person perspective has to sound vastly different, because I don't want you don't want readers getting the people mixed up on who's who. So the first steps that I did before I even started it on February 16th, leading up to that, I did the search and find feature on Microsoft Word, and basically searched for some of the characters. Well, before that, I found my character list. I found it last year when I sent those couple pages to Heather. I found it then, and so I typed it up so I wouldn't lose it, because I almost couldn't find it again. So basically, again, leading up to February 16th, I took that character list, which had their names, their age, their appearance. Some of them had appearances, some of them didn't. And at least a like a vague couple sentences about a personality for them, for all 30 characters. So I took that list and I made it a PowerPoint out of it. And from there, I went to the main POV characters and did a search and find throughout the book to search for all their appearances. So I wrote down everything that I could find. And for the ones that didn't have an appearance, I added appearances that would kind of match a little bit of their personality. Sometimes I expanded upon their personality. If I had any ideas for more backstory or notes that weren't there, I added that in there too. Some of them I changed their ages. And then I started coming up with how they would talk and the way they would put words together based on their personalities. So at first I went in blank. Some of them came to me a little bit more easier than others. One of my characters, I know he's an angry character, so he cusses. I don't include cuss words, so the hard part there was coming up with alternate cuss words that are like cuss words in their world, but not to us. So I came up with a few of those. And some of them already had enough of a voice, and already everything was there. One of them, she is intelligent and very formal speaking, so I just had to kind of make her voice sound a lot more mature than the others. One guy is not that formal and he's kind of more of a brute, so I kind of reflected that. Another guy is more of a hard worker, so I was like, maybe he was a farmer, so I could do kind of a country sounding accent where he drops the G on ing words and so on. So some of them came to me easily. Other ones were more difficult. Like I had a guy who's very logical and unemotional, so I didn't really know how to write him. Other ones already had everything there to it, so I kind of just expanded upon those. I color coded them by team because my characters are all sorted into teams based on different colors, so I color coded them. With one of my characters, I had the idea that she uses a lot of filler words, like I use the word like, and a lot of people nowadays, like my age and younger, do it too. So I had her use absolutely. And then I was like, well, what if each of them have like a word or a phrase that they kind of repeat periodically? So like as the readers are reading, it may be over exaggerated, but you're like, oh, okay, this is the absolutely chick, and there's something that can link there. And when I did their appearances, I also came up with one unique quirk that is more of a habit that they have, and one unique physical trait that can stick in readers' minds. And that trick actually came from when my editor H.A. Pruitt did round 1 of Immortal. One of the eras I had a lot of characters but no descriptions, and she said to make it easier, you don't have to describe a whole lot of detail, just 1 or 2 major traits, one trait that is enough to make them stand out and stick in your head, like, oh, this is that guy, the guy with the scar over his eye, something like that readers can latch on to kind of remember, okay, that's who it is. And so I came up with a physical trait for each of the characters that you can latch on to, as well as a physical quirk. For example, one of my guy characters has a coin and he like flips it through his fingers, and he always has that coin with him. And so in a lot of the scenes, even when it's not his POV, because I think he only has maybe 1 or 2 POVs in the whole book, when other characters are watching him, you immediately know who it is because it's the coin flipping guy. And just little things like that. So a physical quirk and a physical trait that stands out, and then a habitual quirk that they do that's like a behavior that is repeated. And so between that and then the voices, it kind of made them all stand out, even in my mind. And so that was a lot of what was building up to February 16th. So by then I had gotten into the book enough that I wanted to read it, and that helped build up the motivation that I needed in order to write that 2,000 words added to the prologue leading up to the first challenge, the opening challenge. And from there I edited. So as I said, I logged that first day, and after that it's just been editing for me. And I've had to rewrite a lot of like paragraphs and lines and sentences, but it hasn't been rewriting whole scenes because I don't think it needed it. Now my editor, when she goes through it for round 1, she may see that. I don't see that. I've been looking, but developmental edits are my weakness because I'm too close to the story. So to me, I'm like, I don't know if there's needs to be a scene that's deleted, or if there needs to be a scene that's expanded upon, or if I need to add a whole bunch more to something. Later on, I'm thinking probably some of the character relationships, and then expanding upon like some of their backstories, probably, maybe, but I'll find that out when she goes through it for round 1, I mean. So basically that's everything. And again, it's just with this, every POV, every scene is a new perspective, and so I have to keep track of not only the editing and the grammar and the punctuation and the sentence structure and the vocabulary usage, because it was immature. My writing was younger and immature at the time, but I also have to keep track of the character voices. So who's speaking, how do they speak, what are their quirks, what do they look like? You know, I think I've kind of gotten in the middle there. I kind of fell into this thing of forgetting to describe their appearances. And so it's a lot to remember, and therefore some nights I can't do but more than a few scenes. It can be very mentally exhausting and taxing, and that's why this is my main project and I haven't really been doing anything else. So yeah. Okay, so Survivor characters, I'm probably going to go over these in another YouTube video when it's time for Survivor's release, but I just wanted to kind of show you a little bit here. So as you can see, they're organized by color, and there's a man and a woman on every team. So these are all 30 of the characters. And like I said, each of them have an appearance description, an age, a quirk, and a personality quirk, a habit that they do, as well as their name and stuff like that. And then I have the notes, and then I have a PowerPoint slide that lists out the 3 races of this world that they live in. So anytime that I'm editing in the story, I'll be like editing the document. If I need to do a reference, I'll just come here, scroll, and then click on the character that I need and read the notes and find out what I need and stuff. Or if I need an appearance description, I can do that really quickly because it's still a lot. I can't keep this all in my head. So that's basically this PowerPoint slide. Again, I did really want to show you guys, so that's that. Hey guys, so this is part 2 of my before Survivor gets edited thing, my editing and rewriting Survivor before it gets sent to my editor thing, whatever video that is. So it is 8:38 on March 24th. It's Sunday, and I got started around, I don't know what time it was. It was after 7. It may have been more closer to 7:30, 8 o'clock. It hasn't been too long, I don't think. So basically the chapter that I've been editing, chapter 20, it was either 20 or 21. I just finished it. I don't remember. I'm so tired. But we've had a really long but really good day, so I'm really tired. But the chapter that I've been editing is a long chapter. I've been working on it for like the past 3 days. And typically I've been doing 1 chapter every day unless I've had a chapter. The most I've had a long chapter I had to break into 2 nights. So I finally got it done, and I checked the next chapter, chapter 21, is only 8 pages, which is typically, I've had less than that for most of the chapters that I can get done in one, because I remember one chapter was 9 and it felt long, and then the one before that there was one that was 15, which I think was this one, so it took me a couple days to get through it. So 8 is pretty medium. It's like long, but it's not super long. So that seems decent to do on a Monday when my sister's working when I first get up. So I'll have from 3 to 5, and then I'll have from 7 to 11. So that seems reasonable. So given that I'm tired, I don't feel like editing anymore, because again, with this book, I need to be awake. So a couple of things. One of my characters, I think I need to invent more cuss words because his vocabulary, I'm repeating the same word. So I may have to come up with more for that, but I can do that with my editor. But here's the deal. Financially, I don't have the money to pay her right now. My editor, A.J. Pruitt, her prices are very, very fair. They're very affordable. For the amount of professionalism, like, she could charge so much more than she does because she's such a good editor. She's better than my husband, and my husband is super picky when it comes to like grammar in books. And he catches everything, and she's way better than him. No offense to my husband. Not that he watches these videos, but anyways, so she could charge a lot more than she does. And so she's super affordable. It's just at the moment, we need to get a new roof, and we need to pay some bills that have come up, and I haven't been having any editing clients. I haven't had a single editing client this year. Last year I had editing clients almost constantly, and I had a lot more money last year coming in because of those editing clients. I would take that editing money and, generally speaking, just turn it right back into getting things edited. Rogue being one example, and then Immortal. So I don't have the money for Survivor, and I don't think my husband's going to be able to help me. So, because his money is going toward helping the house, and I'm not bringing in an income. So today I kind of had a breakdown because I was frustrated because ideally you want to get a return on your investment. So if you spend money for a cover designer or an editor, for example, then eventually your books are selling enough to get that money back, or you're freelancing to get that money back. And right now for this year, that is not happening for me. And therefore the money that I'm putting out is not coming back in. So the money that I put forth to getting Immortal edited has not come back to me. Granted, I haven't published it yet, so, you know, but it's just not coming back. So that means that, I have to come up with all of this, like, I don't know, on my own. And I'm not having an edit. I have one potential, but I don't know if that person's going to pay me. And then that's just a fraction of what I need. So I would need at least 2 to 3 more clients of a book of that same length in order to afford to pay what I need to get Survivor done. So tonight, now that I've gotten my editing Survivor done, I should be writing. I should probably edit some more, but one, it's not like I need to get it done in a hurry because I can't afford to freaking pay what I need to have Heather edited anyway, so I may end up being forced to delay it. 2, I'm tired, and so editing when I'm tired is not a good idea. And 3, I should be job searching for editing clients like crazy and searching for jobs on Upwork. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna post it on social media, and then I'm gonna do that. So yeah, that's all I got. So I'll check in with you guys next time. It's rainy and gray, and I'm editing Survivor. I have 2 pages left. My sister's on her way home, and I'm almost done. And it's 5:17, so hopefully I'll finish it later. But oh my gosh, I'm so close to finishing it. This is still part of my Survivor leading up to editing Survivor. This is the 3rd day I've vlogged. So I've got 2 pages left, and I don't know if I can get it done before my sister comes in. I just finished Survivor. I'm still processing. Okay, so it is March 25th, and it is 7:28, so my sister did come home, and I did not get to finish the last 2 pages. And as I was writing, or editing the ending, like, you know, the final paragraph that kind of, like, brings it all home, kind of, like, didn't make sense to me. And so I didn't have enough time to, like, fix that jumbled mess before my sister came home. So we just now split off at 7:28, and I read through those last few paragraphs and kind of made them make a little bit more sense. I think one of them, what was missing was the character's thought process. Going from one thought to another, it was just kind of jumpy. And I had to edit the, you know, grammar, sentence structure, and all that stuff, and making it active instead of passive writing. So I did all of that, and now the last few paragraphs actually hit me hard, and they do what I originally intended them to do, so I fixed them. So I'm so excited, but then I immediately get bummed because I do not have the money to pay Heather. So I don't know what to do. I submitted to a lot of job requests yesterday, so I'm going to check on all of that, check my Facebook messages and my emails, and see if I've gotten any responses, any clients, anything like that, because I need money. So I'm tempted to think about doing a Kickstarter, but in the month or however long the Kickstarter would run, I don't know if I'd be able to come up with the money or not. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't know if it would be a good idea or not. So it could be a good test run to kind of test how Kickstarter would work. But here's my problem. And here's the question that I can't get answered from anyone that has done a Kickstarter is, if you're doing a Kickstarter as a pre-order, it doesn't matter kind of what you're trying to raise. You're just trying to reach some stretch goals. Because however many people buy whatever package, like a hardback or a paperback, they're paying for the price of the hardback, and you include the shipping and the price of the hardback and making sure you have enough profit. So you price it accordingly, basically, to cover all of those. But for me, like, you're raising money, like in this case, I'd be raising money to go straight into paying the editor, which means that when they buy a package, that money is not immediately going back to ship them, you know, to buy the paperbacks and ship them to the people. It would be trying to go toward editing. So how do I limit, like, how do I form a Kickstarter with a offer of a paperback copy, while making sure it's priced high enough that not only could I afford to pay the editor, because that's what I'm raising money for, but afford to buy and ship the paperbacks to people who buy them. Because what if I get a bunch of people buying them and it's enough to pay for the editing, but then I still have the cost of buying the book and shipping it out, going out. And it's so confusing. And I asked one author YouTuber I know, and I don't think she understood my question. So I just don't have answers on that, and I don't know what to do. Hey guys, Editing Joanna here. So clearly my past self was very confused about how Kickstarter worked. I've also been editing this. I can't watch this seriously. As you can see, I've tried to include a few memes and things because I had no idea I was going to add 80,000 words to Survivor. The ending got rewritten in the future edit, so that'll be in future videos. And I also did not know that I was about to get a bunch of editing clients and get the money to pay for, just so much that I didn't know. But I actually needed to come on here and explain the Kickstarter thing, because I feel like my questions and my confusion was so confusing that I'm going to confuse other people, and I wanted to explain now that I have run a successful Kickstarter with Immortal. That is literally how I was able to get this beautiful, gorgeous hardback, which, if you guys want an Immortal hardback again for sale at some point, let me know. I may sell them on my website. This is the Kickstarter edition, so it's got extra stuff, but like the basic version. So let me know on that. I also have the Omnibus hardback, which is Hunter through Rogue, so 5 books in one. You have no idea what I had to do in order to get the page count on this good. But before I go on a tangent and lose your guys' interest, Kickstarter. I don't know why I was so confused. I mean, I guess I get it, because you have Kickstarter is made for creators. So whatever you're creating, your funding goal is what you're trying to get in order to create whatever it is you're creating. So in the book in the case of books, usually you set a lower funding goal, because the goal is not to just get funded. Like, that's the floor, not the ceiling. You're just trying to get to the minimum as fast as possible, because then Kickstarter will start showing you to more Kickstarters and it'll spiral. So the sooner you get fully funded, the better. But you want to go beyond that. So you don't just, like, you kind of keep it low. So with that in mind, you would charge each tier enough for the cost of what it takes to print these. The shipping cost is included in the Kickstarter, so they do take care of that, and you can find out how much it takes to ship from wherever, point A to point B, or in my case, from the printer to me, signing it, from me sending it to the person, and you would kind of estimate. And in that shipping, I've learned that you add extra to cover your printing, your shipping, packaging stuff. So like the packaging, the stamps, the boxes, any type of thing that's going to be a part of the shipping and mailing process is also what you factor into your shipping charge, how much the shipping costs, on top of giving yourself a little bit of profit, I've heard, so that because of the effort you put forth into figuring out the shipping stuff. So shipping is separate. Your tier is going to be the price of what it takes to print the book, along with enough to cover that and to make a profit off of it. And then this is all going toward your funding goal, and then you make stretch goals beyond that to keep making yourself a profit and to reach other stretch goals that you might want. Like, say you want to pay for the audiobook, and that's going to be $5,000. Well, you're going to have to consider Kickstarter fees. Kickstarter has a person that they work with that takes fees as well for the processing of the money situation, so they take a fee out. You're going to have to cover the costs of printing the books, shipping them, and all that stuff. So you have to consider those costs first, the cost of fulfillment, shipping, fees, all that stuff, in with your stuff, along with whatever else you originally wanted to do. So in a case of like a $5,000 audiobook, for example, you would probably need to actually make sure that you make $8,000, somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000, to, maybe not that much, maybe I'm over exaggerating, but you see, like, to cover, so you have enough left over for your audiobook, whatever it is you're doing. So basically I figured it out. I just didn't want people to get confused, and you include that in the price of your tier because you want to make enough money. The point is to make a profit, to create your product, and then to pay you for making this product and, you know, all your hard work and all that stuff, if that makes any sense, but while also making sure the price is fair according to what your product is and what other Kickstarters are charging for that. So you need to keep it even. You know, I wouldn't charge for a paperback $100 for a paperback unless it's got like sprayed edges or something super special. Most of those, that's going to be your hardback, if that makes any sense. So yeah, like, for example, with Immortals Kickstarter that I did, I was like, I don't know the exact numbers, so don't quote me on this, but I know for a fact I got over $2,000 fully funded. I was $500 was my goal. I got $2,000 for the Kickstarter for Immortal. And of that, from the fee, by the time they took the fees out, I received $1,700 in my bank account. And then of that, it was like $600 and some odd dollars for all the shipping and ordering print copies and fulfillment and all of that stuff. So from the $1,700, I had about $900 left over from there that I then put into editing, because I needed more to charge for editing. I think that was the Survivor edits. I don't remember if that's where the money came from, but it went to Heather to edit either Survivor or Remnant. And also Ren's, to my cover designer, to design more covers. So, and then it was like some marketing. I think I had like maybe $20 left that I subscribed to some marketing site or something. So that just kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of, you know, how the Kickstarter works. And I just wanted to clarify because my confusion was really confusing and I didn't want to confuse other people who may be interested in doing Kickstarter and then not doing it or doing it wrong. So I hope that kind of explains things. If you're still confused, Kickstarter for Authors group on Facebook, they explain everything in detail. That group got me through my first Kickstarter. They're the reason why I ended up getting fully funded. They have a lot of resources. There's a Kickstarter for Authors group, ebook group. The person who made the group made an ebook kind of breaking it down and explaining. She has a free checklist you can find. She's actually doing a revised edition of the Kickstarter for Authors group that's revised according to current stuff, because the other one was a couple years ago. And so that one actually is on Kickstarter right now. You can get the ebook for like $10. So yeah, that's everything. Back to the video. So I'm going to kind of do some reconnaissance here, and we're going to do a recon and then go from there. So this is still my, I don't know what I'm going to call this video vlog. I don't know if it's going to be one vlog or a series of episodes leading up to editing Survivor, but the current dilemma is getting enough money. So I will keep vlogging and keep you guys updated on the progress of how I get the money. So it's going to be $900 and some odd dollars, and I don't have that. So I have like $3 to my name, and I think my PayPal went negative and it pulled from my bank, and it's been a mess financially speaking. So I will keep you guys updated because this is part of the process, is getting enough money to hire the things that you need. So yeah, and it may even be more than that now because in my editing, my word count went up. So 0.008 times 123,990. 123,990 words is the current word count. So we're looking at basically $1,000, $991.92. So that's a lot. That is a lot of money for me. My goodness. No, not share. So I'm going to do some recon and see what I can figure out and what I can think of and all that kind of stuff. I need to be writing, so I don't know about that, but I'll check in with you guys sometime. Thank you so much for watching this vlog series as I rewrote and edited Survivor, and then eventually, formatted and proofread and got it to this beautiful thing that it is today with the help of H.A. Pruitt. So shout out to her. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a like for all of the hard work that went into this book, and be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more writing and reading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you enjoyed this episode, stay tuned for the next one. I will have it here as a video, and if not, it'll be in premiere mode so you can check it out as soon as it goes live.